Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Mondo Toys Batman the Animated Series 1/6 scale Mr. Freeze figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
Quick side profile of the left side of the box. You can see it says Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze, 1/6 scale collectible figure. DC logo, Batman logo, Warner Brother logo, and more of the same on the opposite side. And there's a look at the back of the box. You can see the Batman logo kind of engulfing Gotham City and some more credits and what have you at the bottom. And the front flap of the box does open up to reveal the clamshell and the figure inside. And there is a quote on the flap to the box. It reads, "I am beyond emotions. They've been frozen dead in me, Mr. Freeze." Alright, here we go. 1/6 scale Mondo Toys Mr. Freeze. This is probably my second, maybe third time ever reviewing a 1/6 scale figure. You know, I don't do too many of those. I have a few Hot Toys and I've only maybe reviewed 2 of them. Although I have done some displays with them. So shout out to the fine folks at Mondo Toys. Shout out to my man Brandon, aka Posable Productions, aka Batman the Articulated Series on Instagram. Basically, Mondo sent him some review samples, but because he doesn't really do any reviews, he tasked me with taking care of the review, and I've taken a very long time to get this done. But with no further ado, here we are. So my man Brandon has done wonders with the DC collectibles, Batman the Animated Series and Batman the Adventures Continues figures. And I think he's probably the best person doing any ACBA with those figures in the entire world. There's no question about it. So the folks at Mondo recognize that and they're trying to up their profile, I guess, a bit. So they wanted to send him some samples to take pictures. So the pictures that you'll see throughout this or at the end of this review are his pictures. They're not really my photos. Maybe I'll take a couple here and there. I'm pretty sure that Mondo has only released 1/6 scale action figures or figures. They've done some statues and some other things, but I don't believe they've released anything in 1/12 scale or 3 3/4 inch or anything like that. And I believe this is their second figure from the Batman the Animated Series line. They have Batman, they have Mr. Freeze. I believe Catwoman is about to drop any day now. And this is Mr. Freeze look from the old animated series. I think this was his second look though, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. And just to be clear, this was meticulously packed inside of the box. There was a double layer of clamshells, sort of similar to how Mezco figures are packed in. Obviously just a lot larger. So let's go over all his accessories. And for the record, this was around his neck. Just another protective layer here. It says remove, what does it say? Remove plastic before displaying. So I took that off before I started. Just want to make you aware of that. I hope that's showing up okay. Straight out of the package, he has 2 fists attached. And there's a quick look at the peg holes on the wrists. So the actual pegs are attached to the hands, and then that whole portion is popped into the peg holes there. He's got a set of hands that are open with all of the fingers close together. They're semi-cupped. Removing the hands and popping in this next set of hands was no issue. I didn't really feel like it was too delicate or anything was going to break. So no problems there. He's got a set of Young Jock is Going Down hands. These are cupped just a bit more than the previous set. Fingers are close together. The thumb is kind of sticking out. You may hear some noise in the background. It is 7 p.m. here, so everybody's outside of their windows giving it up for all of the essential workers. So thank you to all the essential workers. He's got another set that are cupped even more than the previous 2 sets, and these are almost a fist, and I assume that any of these hands could be utilized to hold some of the items that he's packed in with, as well as some other props or accessories you may have for other 1/6 scale figures. And finally, he's packed in with 1 additional right hand with the trigger finger extended, so that way he can hold one of his other accessories, his sort of freeze ray gun. And we're going to start bringing this all together here because a lot of these next items kind of work in tandem. And there you go. There's a look at the gun and a look at him holding it. There was no issue for me to get the gun into his hand. It is a very firm grip, and I can see that a little bit of paint from the hand has rubbed off onto the handle of the gun. So you may want to be careful as far as that goes, but the gun looks like it's pretty accurate to the animated series design. It's basically just like two tones of gray. Looks a little blocky, but again, it does look accurate to the show design. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks real clean. So no problem with him aiming his gun. Everything here looks very authentic. There's a good look at that head sculpt before I go ahead and swap his helmet on. So you can see this sort of like a cell shaded look. All of the paint and everything here is very clean. The look for the characters on the show wasn't anything outrageous. It translates very well in figures, and a lot of these figures photograph very well because of that. And there he is with the helmet. That looks really cool. Again, I think this is going to photograph really nicely, or it does. I've seen pictures of it, but you can still see his face and his goggles and everything underneath there. Even though it does have like a frosted look to the helmet, I still think it looks very good. And there's a look at the figure from the back, so everything looks good from the back side as well. Pause. And you can see that little peg hole right there where you can attach another one of his accessories. His tank can be plugged in right there, and you can see that it's mostly blue with a white stripe, gray at the top. Obviously it matches the rest of his deco. No problem inserting the tank into that little peg hole. No problem applying the helmet either. Everything is working out just fine here. And then he's also packed in with this sort of freeze ray effect, which can peg right into the front of the gun. Now I will say I'm a little iffy about this, just a little concerned, because it is kind of heavy and it does feel like it may be putting a little bit of stress on the wrist and the arm. So this is something that you may not want to keep in for too long. Maybe you want to plug it in, take some shots and take it out, but it does have to be pegged into the front of the gun in a specific way in order for it to peg all the way in. But I do like the way it looks. As you can see, it is sort of translucent, and if you get the right light underneath it, it will look very cool in shots. He's also packed in with this little frozen batarang, which looks really cool. I like this a lot. It would have been nice if they made it where it could be attached to the front of the little freeze ray or something like that. But I guess you could apply this to a wall with some wax or something like that. You can get creative, but I thought this was a nice addition. And he's also packed in with this little snow globe. I guess that's what you would call this. Now there is no effect to make it look like there's actual snow inside of there, but you get the picture. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't actually give you a hand specifically designed to hold this though. I feel like I had to kind of like squeeze this in his hand right here, and I'm kind of iffy about that. Also, I think you can adjust the helmet where there is a portion that is not as frosted as the others. I think I turned it around here where you can see his face better. I do believe that is how this goes. And he's actually packed in with one more thing. I lied, there's actually two more accessories. I forgot that he has an additional head sculpt. So this one is sort of angry. You can see his teeth, they're gritted, and you can see his eyebrows, which are very pronounced here. They look a little nuts, but it looks very good. I do like the addition of this particular head sculpt. I don't know, maybe they could have included one more head sculpt, maybe him smiling. That's something that you see Mr. Freeze do in the animated series too often. I don't know if you've ever seen him smile, but again, I think the two head sculpts look very good, very clean. There we go, with the angry head sculpt with the helmet on. And again, that looks great. Of course, if you want to turn his head, you're going to have to take the helmet off, turn his head, and then adjust the helmet to the right, less frosted side for you to actually see his face. And there's a quick look at that neck peg. You can see there is a ball joint there. Okay, and then his final effect is this sort of exhaust steam icy effect. I guess this is supposed to represent him when his helmet has been removed and he's kind of gasping for air. You know, he needs to keep his helmet on to survive. So obviously you can get quite a bit of playability out of this and all of the accessories that he's packed in with. Quite a bit of fun factor here for this figure. I do think they picked a good variety of accessories. Now I will say that it looks like there's some discoloration here though on this effect. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that or if it's just been some time, maybe some sunlight hit it or something like that and stained it a little bit. But again, under the right light, I think this will look really good with some cool light piping or some colored lights or something like that. And yeah, that's it for accessories, but he does have a stand as well. I assume this is how the stand goes. Don't laugh at me if this is totally wrong, but the stand is packed in two parts. There's the actual arm that attaches to the base that has the Batman logo, and then you can extend that little part that's kind of gripping his crotch there. I don't even know if this is how it goes because I never use stands for figures, but it is what it is. And taking a quick look at his articulation. So you saw that the head was on a ball joint. You can turn left to right, no issues there. You can pivot. You can look up just a bit. You can look down a little bit more than up, but obviously the articulation on the head and neck is going to be a little limited when the helmet is on. Shoulders are on the ball joint. They're going to come up pretty far here. You can actually do a full 360. It should be noted that these sort of overlays here are like a rubbery material, so it's a soft, sort of pliable rubber there, so that's pretty cool. You do get a single jointed elbow that gets a little bit more than 90 degrees, and the arm will rotate there as well. And then you get a swivel and a hinge on the wrists, no issues there. The upper torso does rotate, so you can get them to move forward and back and do a little bit of rotation. Not the greatest range, but it's decent. This little belt can actually move as well. The legs will come up just about that far. They'll go back that far. They won't go out too far, but decent range. No real upper thigh swivel or anything like that. Single jointed knee, so just about 90 degrees there. Swivel at the upper boot, hinge on the foot, and also a pivot on the foot as well. So same thing on both sides as far as the arms and legs go. And a few quick size comparisons. On the far left is the Hot Toys Black Panther. On the right is the Marvel Legends 12-inch Spider-Man crouching all the way down. I know that's not really helping for size comparison, but you can see how Mr. Freeze stacks up next to a Hot Toys figure. And there he is next to the SH Figuarts Age of Ultron Hulkbuster armor on the left, and the Figma Deadpool laying on the Extreme Sets couch on the right. There's the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series 1/12 scale Batmobile on the left, and on the right is the NECA Aliens Ripley and Newt. There's the Mezco Toys Judge Dredd and his cycle, and the figurized Super Saiyan pod thing, whatever you call that. And there is the Star Wars Black Series Greedo on the left, and some severed fingers, an eyeball, and an ear from the Trick Shop on the right. Alright, I'm getting up out of here. Pretty nice figure here from Mondo Toys. Like I said, they mostly deal in 1/6 scale, so if that's your thing, then this may be something that is attractive to you. Maybe you are a collector who just likes to display your pieces in a display case or detolf or what have you. But if you are somebody that's into ACBA toy photography, it is a great figure for taking pictures, as you've seen throughout this review. Pretty decent articulation for a figure of this size. I didn't feel like it was too delicate. You know, I think that's one of the major issues with the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series figures, is that they are pretty delicate. I do feel like you could actually pose and play with this guy without having to worry too much. It's a great range of accessories. It's great paint work. It's a really good looking figure, so it is one that I would recommend. As always, thanks for hanging out. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.